Tuesday, October 15th, and welcome back to the Damon Bruce Show, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. We'll let you know that today's live stream is powered by BetUS, and, you know, this used to be a saying over in Oakland, where they'd say, it's Chiefs week. Well, I'm going to tell you, it is Chiefs week now in San Francisco, maybe more than it ever came with consequence in Oakland, because we got a real rivalry. But for the rivalry to stay interesting, the hammer and the nail do not have rivals. They are not rivals. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are the reason why the 49ers can never lay claim to being more than the second best team in the NFL. They've run into them in 2 Super Bowls. We all know what the results were. Why are the Chiefs this good? How have they maintained this level of excellence, even though it feels like their offense, maybe even Patrick Mahomes himself, is coming back to earth a little bit? While that's happening, it is one of the better defensive units in the entire NFL. And this is a team that has really broken the NFL. They have. Every fan is out of their mind because they want Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid level of production too. They want a generational quarterback drafted. They want to go ahead and go to Super Bowls. They want their tight ends to date the most popular, powerful woman in entertainment. Everybody is looking at the Chiefs formula saying, we want to replicate that. And the truth is, you really can't. It's kind of like some of those barbecue sauces in Kansas City. You think you can put together something that good, but you really can't. You got to be there to do it. Well, a man who is there covering all of this that I made radio friends with a very long time ago. He is the king of morning radio in Kansas City, Bob Fescoe of 610 Sports Radio in KC. I mean, we've done mayor bets during Super Bowls, and Bob has not sent me anything yet because I haven't won any of them. We've been sending him things. Bob, it's great to see you again, man. How are you?
Good, Damon. It's excuse me for a second. It's 10 years. Can you believe that? 10 years ago, we met wandering the streets of Kauffman Stadium and talking about Royals and Giants. And who would have thought it's turned to be the Chiefs and 49ers as like the big kind of rivalry in the NFL. And so much you said in that opening segment, my man, I just want to touch on and talk about, because I think you hit on a lot of things that people here in Kansas City even talk about. Like, we're pinching ourselves. This is still going. The Chiefs are still winning. And quite honestly, there's nobody in this league right now that's even close to being as good as they are.
Well, let's just start with the reality of it, because, you know, when you're 5-0, there's nothing to apologize for. They're elite, yet offensively flawed in ways that maybe no one is really accustomed to there, and people get spoiled by success. Like you said, you know, when you start your career throwing for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, there's really nowhere to go but down from that. What the Chiefs might not be offensively right now, they have more than made up for with a commitment to a level of run defense that everyone in Kansas City's just got to be thrilled with. They are a monster defensive unit.
You know, and I'm glad that we're actually going to start that way, because so much is spent talking about, well, they don't have any wide receivers. What are they going to do from an offensive standpoint? And I go, this is one of the best defenses we've ever seen. It may be trending to be the best defense that the Chiefs have ever had. And I know we're not that old, but, you know, you go back to 69 and 70 when they were winning some early Super Bowls in Super Bowl IV and playing in Super Bowl I. Everybody on that defense is in the Hall of Fame. Then you get to where they were in the 90s with Derek Thomas and Neil Smith and, you know, Mark McMillan and guys like that in the defensive backfield. I mean, they were crazy going on playing defense back then. But this defense right now is just unbelievable. They'll toy with you. The 49ers will score on their first possession. I can almost guarantee you that, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. And that'll be it. They'll shut it down for the rest of the day, and the 49ers will have to go back to the drawing board like everybody else and go, well, what is this defense doing? Because in the second half of games, this defense has given up about 5.6 points per second half. I mean, that's the average. They're not even giving up a touchdown worth of points in the second half of games this season. And so their defense has just been spectacular. Chris Jones is unbelievably amazing. Nick Bolton's starting to come back to his form at that linebacker spot. And we got Trent McDuffie on the outside who covers everybody like, you know, you're not getting out of that blanket, man. He's so good.
I think the reason why the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in Las Vegas was because of lockdown corner play There was just no separation by Debo, by Ayuk, by Kittle. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw's injury, I think, helped open up that path to Travis Kelce, which Mahomes did take advantage of after not having much of an opportunity to take advantage of it early in the Super Bowl. What is the Spagnuolo secret sauce? Why is this defense, who has lost one of its premier corners to free agency, really not missed a beat?
Well, and Steve Spagnuolo is a genius. You have to go back to the old Giants teams when they were beating the New England Patriots. And the first time they beat the Patriots, they had a defensive line on that 07 Giants team that rotated basically too deep. And that's kind of where we are with this Kansas City Chiefs defensive line. People think it's just Chris Jones and a bunch of other dudes up there. Turk Wharton's playing like a madman this year. He's having himself one heck of a season. George Karlaftis is playing good at the defensive end position. And so you just rotate guys in and out and keep guys fresh along that defensive line. And you're going to have an opportunity late in the game to go out there and be at your best. And that's what Steve Spagnuolo is able to do. He toys with people at the beginning of the game. Teams will move down the field. It's a bend, and then it breaks. And then, the team's up, 7-0, 3-0. They feel like they got something going. And then Steve Spagnuolo knows how to shut it down. So much credit, and rightfully so, has been given to Andy Reid from what an offensive genius he is. But if there's a Hall of Fame wing for assistant coaches, which there isn't, Steve Spagnuolo should be the first induction into that, because he's done unbelievable things on the defensive side of the ball. And I know we're getting a little geeky and nerdy at times with this, but I want to give a shout out to Dave Merritt, the defensive back coach. Like, this team just recycles defensive backs. Or not recycles, but has a guy for a couple of years gone. Charvarius Ward signs with San Francisco. Replace him with L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed goes away. Trent McDuffie steps up his game and becomes one of the best defensive backs. Shamari Connor's playing some good football right now. So for whatever reason, they have a knack. They know how to draft. They know how to coach. They know how to put guys in the right positions. I mean, it's all of those things that, quite honestly, most of these teams in the NFL just lack. They hire the wrong head coaches who hire the wrong staff, and they never put their players in the right position. Andy Reid hires the right staff. They put their players in the right position. They become a dynasty.
Right now, the Chiefs have the third fewest points allowed in the NFL so far this season, just 17 points per game. Like Bob was just saying, you might flex on them a little bit in the first half, but then they shut everything down after halftime. Great coaches, halftime adjustments. Some people say that that's a myth. Some people say that this is more of a wives' tale than it is an actual NFL thing that happens. But for the really good teams, it continues to happen. Second half adjustments are where an awful lot of games are won. Bob, one of my favorite recording artists of all time was Tom Petty. In a documentary, they were asking him about how easy it was for him to write great song after great song, and they asked him why. And he said, I never really examined why, because I don't want to upset the universe. Like, the universe just speaks to me, and I don't want to ask it many questions back. And I guess that brings me to my question about Andy Reid. You've talked to him a million times. You've been around this team for dozens of years, pre-Andy. Why is he so good after a bye week? What is his secret sauce? Has he ever addressed any element of why he thinks he has so much success there? Because Andy, just in any week, is one of the greatest coaches of all time. After the bye week, he is the greatest coach of all time. I mean, he's got the highest winning percentage, I think, in NFL history after a bye. What is it? How does that happen? Has he ever explained it? Or, like Tom Petty, does he not want to poke the universe for an answer?
Well, I was going to say he just doesn't back down, Damon. I mean, thank you very much.
Morning show, everybody.
Andy Reid is one of those guys who I think when he's done coaching is going to have an opportunity to look back and see what he truly accomplished. And I'll take it from a baseball perspective. Dayton Moore was the general manager of the Royals back in 14 and 15 when they had that first run to the World Series in back-to-back years. And
hell of a bullpen,
right? And they won it in 2015. And I remember standing on the field at Citi Field with Dayton about 2:30 in the morning East Coast time. They just won. It's just him and I. And I'm like, do you understand what you guys accomplished here? And he said, no. And to this day, Dayton Moore still says, I don't really understand. And, I didn't really appreciate, what we were doing at the time, because you're so focused on the next. And that's where Andy Reid is. I don't think this guy ever reflects, because the minute you start looking about what you did, well, then you're in the past and then you can't move forward, right? So Andy's always moving forward, but he's such a great football coach. He understands the people. He understands to be a people person. He knows how to put his players in the right position, allows them to have input. And you give Andy Reid a week, he's going to outcoach every single coach in this league right now, right? There's nobody right now that is a better football coach in the NFL, maybe of all time, than Andy Reid. And give him an extra week to prepare while he's got an entire 2 weeks now to get ready. That's why the opening game of the season is always so fun to see who the Chiefs are going to play, because essentially he starts preparing for these guys, in May at OTAs, and you're getting ready and you're doing things to prepare for that first game. And I'm sure they've been preparing for San Francisco for the last couple of weeks and doing things in practice and getting ready and having that extra opportunity just to fine tune things, right? To be able to go through things a little bit deeper with that off week as opposed to feeling rushed about it. And he's just a great coach. He understands his players. And I keep going back to, putting the guys in position to be successful. But Andy Reid has done more reinventing of himself than he's asked his team to do. A lot of times drafted players come into the NFL and they're expected to fit the system. Andy Reid will draft these players, and the first guy he called when Patrick Mahomes got drafted was his head coach at Texas Tech, Cliff Kingsbury, and says, what does this guy do well? How can I make him a better quarterback? And adapted to Patrick Mahomes instead of making Patrick Mahomes adapt to him. And so he's always looking at his talent. He's always putting them in the best possible positions. He's got great assistant coaches on his staff, and he's just got a knack for it. And maybe when it's all said and done, he said when he's sitting there on the beach having a cheeseburger, he'll reflect and he'll look back. Maybe he'll write a book. Maybe he'll tell everybody, or maybe he'll just look back and go, I don't know. It just worked.
It is funny, too. The success with Patrick Mahomes is obviously, historic. He had a pretty decent amount of success with Alex Smith.
Right.
And that was a completely different football team. Conceptually, the way it executed, Travis Kelce was obviously coming into his own with Alex, but it was a team that was without wide receivers essentially for about 2-3 years, and Andy still found success with that. He's a genius, and Kyle might not have the trophy to prove he's a genius, but he's certainly very good. The entire NFL can't try to emulate your running game unless you're onto something. And there's a lot of people copying both Andy Reid and what Kyle Shanahan does at all times. These are well-run teams. I think they got good ownership. I think they have good general managers. They're well-built. They're well-conceived. The pieces fit. But for whatever reason, both these teams have been struggling in the red zone this year. There's a million different reasons why the 49ers have been struggling in the red zone. What are a few of your million different reasons the Chiefs have been struggling there?
It's the same every year. I mean, it's like for the last 3 or 4 years, 3rd and 1 sucks. 3rd and 17, I'm good. They're going to get that. They're going to convert to just fine. 3rd and 1, it's like they see ghosts or something. Like they just can't move the ball 1 yard. But I'm interested to see how it's going to be different now that they have Kareem Hunt back. And I know he's older and it's not the 2018 version, but this last week he played, he looked pretty good. He looked like he could run the football still, right? So now having a week off, him getting
more about giving him the ball either. Lots
of
not.
I mean, that's the thing though. Andy Reid, they go out and get these guys. Here you go. You're inserted into the offense right away. And so I was like, wow, I'm surprised they're bringing Kareem Hunt back. I'm not one of these go to the running back well over and over again. But he was a guy that they needed when Isaiah Pacheco went down, knows the offensive system, his boys with Patrick Mahomes. He was at his wedding and all that kind of stuff. So, he fits in here in Kansas City. So I'm interested to see what he can do inside the red zone and how they're going to utilize him. I think that's going to be a big key to fixing this thing. But really, I mean, for the last 3 years, with remarkable about how this team has been, they can't get 1 yard. They can't get like 1st and goal from the 3, you might as well trot the kicker out there at this point in time and not even bother running the plays because they're not going to go anywhere. And they're trying all these trick plays. They're trying shovel passes to the tight end or, whatever they're doing out there. Now they've got Kareem Hunt. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Kareem Hunt inside the red zone because I do think he can be that kind of difference maker that they've been looking for because really they haven't been that good inside the red zone since they let Kareem Hunt go in 2018.
Nick Bosa, Bob, had 14 pressures by himself last week in Seattle. How many times will he be held in this game? Right. Has the league already called the officiating crew and say, just let Nick Bosa be held by the Kansas City Chiefs? It's good for the league. It's been good for them in Super Bowls. How many blatant holding calls will Nick Bosa not be able to get this week against the Chiefs?
I'm going to set the over-under at 8.5, I think, and I'll take the over on that one. Juwan Taylor's good for a couple of penalties every game, okay? And we've had issues at left tackle here in Kansas City as well. So the tackles aren't exactly the strong point of this offensive line. So I don't know. I mean, it's good for the league to have the Chiefs win, right? Just ask everybody out there. I mean, it's amazing what happens. The Chiefs are on TV. They're the highest rated games on TV. Taylor Swift shows up. Everybody's watching, to see her. And so I just think, like, when we were talking last week about the Royals and the Yankees, my whole philosophy was, you can't win by beating the Yankees and the umpires. So you got to find a way to go out there and not let the umpires become a factor in that game. And that kind of goes for the game this weekend as well. If you're the 49ers, you can't worry about the referees. You know what you're up against, right? Everybody seemingly feels like when the Chiefs and 49ers play, Carl Cheffers is wearing a red jersey that day with a number 1 on the back. So you've got to figure out a way to not allow those referees to become an impact in the game. If you do, the Chiefs will be able to take advantage of it.
Look, I'm no tinfoil hat wearing
conspiracy
theorist.
I am.
I appreciate you acknowledging
that,
hey, you know what? No one needs to apologize for getting calls, right? You want them. That's the way you want it to go, and it's certainly going that way for the Chiefs.
And I've said all along, like, I've talked about the script of the NFL for a decade, right? I've talked about this thing for a good 10 years now. And originally people are like, you're nuts, right? And which I am. I'm not going to sit here and deny it. I do wear the tinfoil hat. But as the 10 years have gone by, more and more people are like, you're right. I go, well, you have to think of it this way. It's a business, right? Everything's a business. The Yankees winning in baseball is good for business. The Chiefs winning in the NFL is good for business.
The thing is, the 49ers winning in the NFL is also good for business.
It is. That's why they keep showing up in the Super Bowl too, Damon.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about Travis Kelce, who is, one of the best of all time. He goes directly to the Hall of Fame when his career is over. But he's either officially getting tapped on the shoulder by Father Time now, or he is a little bit more bougie than he used to be. And when you date popular billionaires who show you what Easy Street truly looks like, I'm not holding that against him. The man is a media darling, making more money off the field than on the field at this standpoint. And I think all of that might go into it. He's spending as much time filming podcasts as he probably is in the weight room, or is spending half the time in the weight room because he has podcast commitments. I don't know. He's also getting old, and this league is vicious to everyone at the end of it. What do you think is most responsible for a drop in production from one of the most productive players in all of football?
Well, I'm going to give you an answer nobody wants to hear, and that's design. They understand, from what I've been saying for the last, 3 or 4 years, and my boss gets extremely mad, but I don't care. The regular season doesn't matter for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's all about what you do in January and February. And so I think a lot of it is based on design of, you know what? We don't need Travis in October against the Rams. Don't worry about it this week, Travis. We need you in January. And what happened last year when January hit? How good was Travis Kelce in the postseason, right? Everybody talked about him. Oh, he's struggling. He's no good. Taylor Swift this and TV that, and he's not focused on football. And then games that mattered happened. And what did Travis Kelce do? I think 338 yards in 4 postseason games and look like the Travis Kelce of old. I do think a lot of it is by design. And we live in such a fantasy football world that if we have guys on our fantasy team and they don't produce, we're immediately wanting to blame somebody. This is not right. This is not how it goes. Everything that the Kansas City Chiefs do is done by design. And I do believe that they're keeping Travis Kelce at a point where they're not going to ask him to go out there and lose games. Obviously, if they need him to win a game, they're going to win a game. But they're also going to pull it back a little bit. So when January does roll around and the playoffs are here and it's cold weather, you have a healthy, fresh, ready to go Travis Kelce. And I think that's more important to this team right now than him putting up fantasy stats during October and November.
So, look, I hate when people bring up fantasy production to complain about a player, because Patrick Mahomes is undefeated and he'd still be the number 1 overall pick if the entire NFL was up for grabs right now. He would be the number 1 overall pick in the league still. He's no longer an ascending player, though. He's at his cruising altitude at this point in his career. And he's only eclipsed, this is where I find it a little odd, he's only eclipsed 300 passing yards once this year. He hasn't seen a 3-touchdown game this year, and he's thrown an interception in every single game this year, at least one. Is there anything with your own naked eyes that tells you something different with Mahomes, or is this about targets and presenting opportunities to put up gaudy numbers.
I think sometimes Patrick tries to do things that he maybe shouldn't. He tries to make the exciting play every time. Like the interception he threw last week or 2 weeks ago now where he took out Rashee Rice. Like I look at that play and I'm like, did Travis go up 100% for it? Maybe not. He could have put a little bit more into that. Did Patrick really need to make that throw at that point in time? Probably not. And so you see an interception there. I do think there's still part of Patrick Mahomes, as much as it's been kind of coached out of him, that still feels like he's that kid out there on the schoolyard and wants to make the exciting happen on every single play. And sometimes it's okay not to do that. And I think he kind of learned that last year after the Raider game on Christmas Day, where the defense scored 2 touchdowns in 7 seconds and the offense never materialized to anything. And then they never lost a game after that, right? They turned it on after that. So sometimes I just think it's Patrick trying to do too much. And right now he can't do too much because, you don't have Hollywood Brown. You don't have Rashee Rice on your team right now. Isaiah Pacheco is hurt, so 3 of your biggest weapons going into the season are no longer part of this team. I think this is a good time, as they always like to say, to have the bye week. I think Patrick and Andy and Matt Nagy, they probably all talked and said, hey, dude, we're back to last year after Christmas. Don't go out there and make any mistakes. Play more of a ball-controlled offense. We got a great defense. They're not going to give up any points. The burden isn't on you to have to go out there and score 100 points per game. I know when this season started, their goal was to obliterate everybody and send a message, go undefeated, beat everybody 35-0 to make up for what everybody was saying last year. Things have changed over the course of that time, over those 5 weeks with all of those injuries. You're not the team you thought you were going to have in training camp. So it's okay to revert back to what won in January. Get the ball to your tight ends. You just signed Noah Gray to an extension. Get Kareem Hunt involved more. And now you have Xavier Worthy who can go up over the top for you. So you've got to change the way you're doing things a little bit now based on injury. So that's why I think Patrick Mahomes has the interceptions that he did, because I envision him kind of like a baby deer. He comes out for the first time and he's ready to go and he's going to take the world by storm. And then he realized, okay, I can't do that. I don't have, the weapons that I thought I was going to have.
Chiefs fans, the metamorphosis that they've been through, more obnoxious, not as obnoxious, or less obnoxious than you actually expected them to be with all this success?
You know what? For a team that's having success, we're doing a pretty good job of handling it here in Kansas City. And I think to an extent where at times we don't realize how good it is. Like at times people are like, I don't know, it's 5-0, but, hey, there's no buts. There's no apologizing for anything. There's only one other undefeated team, right now in the NFL. And so I think we're doing a pretty good job of handling it. I just hope, and you've been through dynasties in baseball and football and all that in the past, I hope people are enjoying this, because before you know it, it's going to be over and it's going to be back to those 4-13 seasons and everybody wondering, man, if I could just get Patrick Mahomes to throw for 3,500 yards, I'd be happy. I think as sports fans, we never enjoy what's happening in the moment. It always takes a fall on our face for us to appreciate what's going on. And that's been my message in this town kind of for the last decade. Appreciate what's going on, because just like that, it's gone.
Absolutely. I mean, all halts are only screeching halts, basically, when it comes to sports.
And you never see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the wind start to change, and then it just happens so fast. It really, really does. As you sit there on the undefeated 5-0 perch of the NFL's modern dynasty, and you look around the league, what worries you? Who worries you? What teams do you think keep Andy Reid up the most at night?
Houston, and that's probably about it right now. Like the Jets, what a joke. Buffalo, they've beaten, 3 bad teams and played a close game with the Jets last night. Baltimore, they've already beaten Baltimore. Cincinnati, they've beaten Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow's still dealing with that wrist right now. I love Houston, and I loved Houston before last season. People thought I was nuts. I said, I think D'Amico Ryans is a star, and I hadn't even seen him coach a game, but I just got that feeling. Like you can tell when guys are going to be good, right?
Niners miss him. I'm telling you, the Niners miss him.
Big time, right? Like big time. Like I just love D'Amico Ryans. I love Pittsburgh too. I know I'm not supposed to, and it's cool to bash Mike Tomlin. I think he's a phenomenal coach, in this league as well. And so, but I think it's Houston right now. I do. CJ Stroud's been great, and they have taken kind of that next step. They didn't let last year become the jumping off part of that was it. We're great. We've arrived. They've improved on that. They're sitting at 4-1. So that's the team that I kind of lose sleep over right now.
Give me a little prediction for Sunday. I am all out of the predicting the Niners beating the Chiefs business. I've already said I'm not picking the Niners this week. I'm all done doing that until they beat them. I'm not going to predict anything. I think it could happen. I think the 49ers got a really good chance to beat the Chiefs, but I'm not going to predict it until I actually see it. Call me Doubting Thomas. What do you think happens on Sunday?
Well, I'd love to pick the Chiefs to win this thing 35-0, but I'm not going to do that because they've had a tough time scoring this season. The Chiefs give up around, what did you say, 17 points a game? I'm going to say it's something like 21-17 Kansas City. A late field goal wins it, or something like that, puts them ahead for good, gives them that extra, kind of padding that they need. So like a 21-17 type of final. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and, you take the under on this one, I would think.
And hopefully it doesn't go to overtime, because that just has not worked out for Kyle against the Chiefs.
Not at all. And if it does go to overtime, the rules are different than they were in the Super Bowl.
Do you think he knows that? Because it didn't feel like he knew that then.
I don't know. Hard to tell.
Bob, great to see you, man. How you doing? How's everything? How's radio in Kansas City?
Great. We just moved to the FM. We're on 96.5 The Fan now, so that's all wonderful and good. And, we had a baseball team that kind of surprised everybody this year.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. We got a football team that's the best in the NFL. Sports is good in Kansas City.
Have you met Taylor Swift? Have you been in the same room with her?
No. I have not, but it's my daughters. Every time we go to the game, all right, where's Taylor? Where's Taylor? I'm like, let's watch the game. We'll find Taylor later, right? But that's been the best thing ever, because as a dad with two daughters that are teenagers, I've had a new bonding experience with my kids. It's been fantastic. I love every minute of it.
Have the Chiefs had to increase game day security because of her alone? I'm guessing
I think so.
Right?
I think they have. I don't really know. They don't share a lot of that information, but just some of the people you talk to behind the scenes, like some people thought she escaped through a popcorn machine one time. It's fun. Like it's like, if you can't embrace this and love it up and have fun with it, man, I feel bad for you, because it's been wild. It's been crazy. It's been awesome.
You're one of my favorite guys in this industry. You're one of the best at it, and it was a pleasure to have you on today, Bob. Thanks so much for getting us a little closer to the Kansas City Chiefs. You're the man, and if you need anything, man, give me a call. I'm happy to help.
You got it, man. Right back at you. Love coming on with you. Thanks for having me.
Bob Fescoe, Kansas City, the king of morning radio. That's the guy right there. Just a great guy. Great guy. One of our mayor bets. I said, so, Chiefs win the Super Bowl. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, you got to send me a great couple bottles of barbecue sauce or some great tongs or something, something that is just very Kansas City-ish. Like, if the Chiefs win, I got to send you something San Francisco-ish. So I sent him a zipper mask, like an S&M zipper mask. So I hope Bob and his wife are enjoying that. I really do. But absolutely a great guy, one of my favorite guys that I've ever met in this business, and he's good people all through and through. Speaking of good people, speaking of great sandwiches, let me tell you about my buddy Ike before we move on today. Ike has got a sandwich waiting for you, and if you sign up for his new Love Rewards program on his app, you will be qualified for a free sandwich. And then you will be able to spin for chips and sodas and all sorts of things that you can get through that app. And you can also sign up for a chance to be part of a incredible prize that he's putting together, a trip for two to New Orleans to a large football game that'll be contested at the Superdome in February. Conclude what you will, what that game might be. Now, I don't know if the 49ers are going to be there. I don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be there. I don't know who's going to be there, but you could have a chance to be there if you sign up for that contest that is happening right now on Ike's Rewards app. Make sure you download it. I can tell you right now that we are going to be meeting at the Dubliner for PluceMania V. Let's do it again on the Sunday of the 49ers bye week. I thought we'd all get together and watch a little football at the Dubliner West Portal. So Sunday of the 49ers bye week is when we're going to be getting there for PluceMania 5. Let's say it's a noon start. Go to about 5 noon to question mark. I hope it's something that you can fit into your schedule and come out and join us and get together with a whole bunch of great like-minded people. Whole bunch of people in the chat right now will be the people that you meet when you are walking down the street in West Portal going to the Dubliner during the bye week. So we certainly hope to see you there. And let me tell you, if you want to be able to have a little extra jingle jangle in your wallet, in your purse to bring into the Dubliner, maybe you make the right bets over at BetUS. Right now, 150% signing bonus, up to $2,000 with your first deposit, up to 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 when you use promo code YouTube150. Start playing today over on BetUS. Again, they are powering today's stream. Thank you very, very much to Ike's, to the Dubliner West Portal, and to our sponsor, BetUS, for making this show go today. Chiefs are a problem, man. They really are. They're a problem. I'm going to take the headphones off. I don't need them anymore. The Chiefs are a problem. I mean, right when you think that they're starting to come back to earth offensively, and in a lot of ways they are, their defense just continues to say, hey, don't worry, we're going to pick up the slack. This is a really good Kansas City Chiefs defense. It's maybe easy to argue that the defense is even better than the offense right now. And the 49ers have their hands full. There's just no doubt about it. Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid off a bye week usually equals, you're going to lose that game. You can bet on it. And if you're going to bet on it, do it over on BetUS. But this is going to be a monster game, and I'm going to invite you while you're watching it to not join me at the 2-minute warning. Join me at kickoff. We're going to be doing a watch party together. I don't know how much fun it's going to be to watch me watching a game, but that's what we're going to do here on the channel. We're going to be live throughout the entire game. Hopefully you'll be able to sync it up so I won't be too far behind the action or ahead of the I don't know how I could possibly be ahead of the action. But hopefully you can sync it up, and hopefully you plan on hanging out with us on Sunday for our first ever full game watch party, 49ers and Chiefs, and we'll just see how it goes. We're running an experiment. This is something that I have yet to do here on YouTube. So it'll who knows? It'll either go like gangbusters or we won't do it again, and we'll just be back right at the 2-minute warning. We'll find out together. So we'll see how that one goes. Let's see. We got an awful lot of people here in the chat, chatting it up. I love it. I love it. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. We got B. Loren that's at the top of the chat right now, says this game comes down to, do we keep Mahomes in the pocket, and can we run well on first down? That's it. I mean, that's 2 good ways to start finding some success. That is for sure. Tom Lester says, oh, hey, false statement, Bob. The Chiefs are 89% on 3rd and 1 in the past 3 years. Well, I think what he was alluding to is that 3rd and 1 seems to be a little bit more of a headache for them, whether it is mathematically or not, than 3rd and long. And that is just the genius of Mahomes on full display and the genius of Andy Reid. But they are not who they used to be in the red zone. And obviously this 49ers team is not who it used to be in the red zone. Call it a Christian McCaffrey absence. That probably goes about as far to explaining it as anyone needs to go. But Bazzy Mian saying the refs are never going to call holding against Bosa and the Chiefs. Chiefs will never acknowledge that they're favored by the refs. Bob Fescoe just acknowledged it. He did. He told you they are the NFL's favored team. The benefit of the doubt goes to favored teams. You know, you know why the reason why the Raiders never get a benefit of the doubt? Because they are not a favored team. It's why they're the most penalized team all the time. Oh, they're also always constantly poorly coached, and all of their personnel moves don't really fit with any others. And I guess that's going to bring them to us. And by the way, call him out on ref bias. He admitted it. He admitted it, Tiger Tank. Maybe we haven't gotten there in this portion of the chat. But look, we're gonna get there eventually, because we're going to do a little PluceMania, or not PluceMania, what do I call it? Club Plus. We're going to do that here at the end of today's show. We got a few other things to get to, though. If I see any super chats pop up, we'll break for them. The rest of you are going to have to wait until Club Plus opens. Did you see that the Raiders and the Jets are trading pairs of clown shoes, I guess? What an unbelievable just disintegration of credibility the Raiders always seem to be embracing. And, you know, all I can tell you is that Aaron Rodgers cannot convince me that he didn't have a hand in Robert Saleh's firing while Davante Adams immediately happens. You know, just Robert Saleh exits the building, and now all of a sudden Davante Adams is in the building. I mean, tell me how this makes any sense. So the Raiders lose in London. They fire their head coach. They lose to the Bills. and then they trade for Davante Adams. Like, riddle me that. How is that the right way to go about it if you're the Jets? And if you're the Raiders, a third-round pick, which could improve to a second-round pick, is all you're going to get for one of the biggest. I mean, Davante Adams was a gargantuan waste of money for the Raiders. It was, and the entire experiment failed. All of it. All of it failed. And once again, we have another example of no personnel decisions ever really fitting together when it comes to the Raiders. It's like all of these decisions are made within a vacuum and they don't affect the rest of the team. It just doesn't make any sense. Like Mark Davis, when looking to, whether or not Antonio Pierce should be the guy to go from interim to full-time head coach, he talked to his leadership council. Mark Davis constantly tells you, his players mean an awful lot to him. So he addressed the leadership council for the advice on what to do going forward. The leadership council was made up of Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and Davante Adams. Josh Jacobs is gone. Davante Adams is now gone. When you can just move on from your leadership council, it probably says a little bit about who's picking who should be on the leadership council. And I'm just telling you right now, Max Crosby, if you're smart, you're going to start faking injuries too, and you're going to get the hell out of there. You have to. The Raiders are clown shoes, and the Jets are clown shoes. So you're telling me that Davante Adams is now going to have the Jets finish 9-2? Because that's what they got to be. The Jets got to finish about 9-2 the rest of the way. And I don't think that. Well, by the way, isn't it a miracle? Isn't Davante Adams' hamstring a miracle? Incredible recovery. Incredible. So seriously, it's like the Raiders and Jets, they might as well have traded the rainbow wig for the red fuzzy nose. Clown shoes. Sip of the day, by the way. That was a perfect one right there. The other thing that happened today in the NFL and in the world of sports radio happened in Dallas. Today, on his radio show in Dallas, Jerry Jones, unable to defend, 20 years of decision-making, basically threatened radio hosts that he would get them pulled off the air if they stopped asking questions. Jerry Jones has done more to threaten radio hosts than his team has done to threaten the opponents it's playing. Basically, he didn't like the line of questioning and said, I will get someone else to ask the questions. And if that isn't some straight up dictatorship, sort of level of performance. Look, Jerry Jones, what can I tell you? You're a bully. You're an asshole. To bow up against a radio guy making $95,000 a year to defend, Jerry Jones is trying to defend a sequence of bad decisions when he goes back in time to tell you that everybody said it was a bad decision to buy the Dallas Cowboys when he did all the way back in the 80s. Well, a decision that people criticized when it was happening in the 80s that turned out to be a windfall investment for you has nothing to do with the price of tea in China in 2024. It really doesn't. And Jerry keeps on going back to the same retreat point, saying, well, people called me stupid when I bought the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, and people call you stupid. You've held on to Mike McCarthy for too long. He's past the shelf date. You did the same thing with Jason Garrett. You did the same thing with, like everyone on your team. You bring back Ezekiel Elliott. You let go of any running back that could actually matter. You overpay Dak. You overpay Lamb. They're a mess. And it's because of Jerry that they're a mess. He's the only decision maker. He can't even turn around and share the blame with anybody. It's all him. It's all him. They can't win at home. They're terrible. But really, I mean, what an asshole. What a pathetic old man at his job he is and sounds like when he's got to just beat up a radio host, threaten a radio host job. That radio host who, is just trying to make sure he doesn't get fired. I wish that radio hosts were all independently wealthy so they can turn around and motherfuck these bullies whenever they have to. By the way, thanks so much to the SG Sports Talk channel, who is now a member of the Initiated, celebrating 1 month. That means he gets to go ahead and get a fancy sticker, a star, when he now comments and he says, Damon, really enjoy it. You're a great guy. Well, debatable. Would love to have you on my channel, SG Sports Talk channel. Let's set that up. I'm happy to. Reach out to me on Twitter, and we will set this up and do something soon. I would be a pleasure to support you, as much support that you have given me. Damn, radio giants make $95K. Well, look, I mean, I don't know what they're paying in Dallas. I know what I made, and I'm happy to report more than that. I look at it this way: I made so much more than that they couldn't even afford to keep me around anymore. That's how great radio's doing. I saw that Odyssey, the company that I used to work for, shut down another sports talk station today in New Orleans. Just shut it down. I mean, I hope that never happens to 95.7 The Game. I got a lot of friends who depend on that for their paychecks and their families. But the radio business, it ain't healthy, period. There's no misinterpretation of that. There's no bitterness that leads me to that conclusion. One of the first things I did was ask Bob, how you doing? And he immediately said, look, man, I got the top billing show at my channel, which is going to be why I get to stay. Not I'm great at this, I'm a legend, my ratings are good. No, he's got the top billing show on his channel. I worked for a company that couldn't sell, heat to a freezing Eskimo. So that's why I had to go. That's why Ray Ratto had to go. We did everything on our end we were asked to do. You can't sell? I'm not a salesman. I'll help you as much as I can. But if you can't sell it, how am I supposed to help you there? Other than being eternally available to help you there. It's a rough business out there. And for Jerry Jones to be threatening a radio host for a line of question where it's just basically saying, Jerry, can you explain these moves to us? Can you explain what you were thinking when? He got upset. What, getting fact checked? Does that sound like anyone else you might know? Does that sound like another completely over his skis old man that that gets upset when people actually, hold him accountable to his own words and decisions? There's a little familiarity there. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say why. We all know. Okay. So, fuck Jerry Jones. Fuck Mark Davis. Fuck Woody Johnson, guy who owns the Jets. All three of these teams. I saw Joe Fortenbaugh, I thought, had a funny tweet earlier today. He was like, look, there are some teams in the NFL that you absolutely have to take seriously. And he cited, the Chiefs. I don't know if the 49ers, the Ravens, good teams. Well-run teams. Well-designed, well-conceived teams. He said there are other teams in the NFL that you can overlook entirely, like Carolina, because of bad ownership. He's like, and there's some of these teams that are here just purely for our entertainment. And that's the Cowboys, and that's the Raiders, and that's the Jets. We just get to laugh at you. Once great brand. Well, look, the Raiders were once a great brand. The Cowboys were obviously once a great brand. The Jets have never been a great brand. Had the Jets been in Arkansas, they wouldn't get a fraction of the attention that they have ever gotten. It's good to be in New York, I guess. So let's see. I'm watching the chat just. So we'll get there. We'll get to the chat in Club Plus in just a second. But what do you got on TV tonight? Let me tell you what you got on TV tonight. You got Sharks at the Dallas Stars. If you're a Shark fan still looking for that first one of the season, Stars are off to a 3-0 start. The Sharks are 0-1-1. We'll see if they get their first win. We got Guardians and Yankees, Game 2. Pardon me. New York 1-0 up in that series. We got Warriors at the Lakers in one of the last preseason games that the Warriors got 2 preseason games left. They're both against the Lakers, I believe. They got one tonight. Warriors are 4-0 in the preseason. And look, they look like a deep basketball team. You know, if it's going to be a strength in numbers season, it looks like they might be on their way to finding that. They look like they're well built, but we haven't seen, regular season rotations. We haven't seen how this is really going to roll out. They've been playing it very, very close to the vest. I'm going to tell you right now, though, Trace Jackson-Davis should be this team's starting center. He should start over Kevon Looney. There's no doubt about it. The season for the Warriors starts in Portland on Wednesday. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. Let's see. Before we get to Club Plus, we need a little bit of a history lesson. And here we go. Today in history. You ready? You feeling it? I'm ready. You ready? Here we go. October 15th in 2017. Speaking of radio, today is the day that the A's left 95-7 the game. How about that? How about that for a little day in history for you? And I remember Dave Cavill tweeting like, it's not us, it's you. No, douchebag. It was definitely you. And this is what happens when, you're trying to be in the audience business, which the radio station was, and you got a partner which is literally trying to kill its own audience in real time. That's what happened there. A's fans were all up our ass for that move. You were on Dave Cavill's side. How you feeling now? Was Uncle Damon right? Has Uncle Damon ever lied to you? The answer is no. I've gotten a few things wrong, but I've never lied to you. All Dave Cavill has ever done was lie to you, and he lied through every single moment of that ending relationship. He did. Happy birthday. Well, she died in 2017, but it would have been Penny Marshall's birthday. I mean, we don't get Laverne and Shirley without Penny Marshall. Laverne DeFazio. But her greatest contribution, Penny Marshall's greatest contribution to entertainment, she directed A League of Their Own. That's one of the best baseball movies ever. That's one of the best sports movies ever. A League of Their Own was awesome. Tom Hanks in that movie is incredible. So thank you, Penny, for A League of Their Own, and Shamil Shemazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated, or is Haagen-Dazs Incorporated? I don't know. It's really weird. We're going to do it in the name of chance now. And we're going to make our dreams come true. Gonna do it our way, yes, our way. Laverne and Shirley, look it up, kids. I understand I'm talking way over a lot of people's heads right now, but that's what old men do. Let's see. Today in 1959, a final conference of the Antarctic Treaty convened in Washington, D.C. This is, again, 1959. After 6 weeks in a negotiation, a treaty signed by 12 different countries, which basically everyone agreed to, hey, you know what we're going to do in Antarctica? Nothing. You can study penguins. That's it. You can use Antarctica for research, but we're going to leave it pristine. We're going to leave it untouched by man for the most part. No building on Antarctica. If they had the exact same thing to do today, there would probably be like one of those Taco Bell Kansas City, Taco Bell KFC hybrid stores somewhere on Antarctica. There would be a TJ Maxx. There'd be a Ross. There'd be like 35 Starbucks in Antarctica. If this decision was being made today, we would be drilling for oil in Antarctica through the bellies of penguins who were just asleep. Luckily, we were a better people in 1959, and that's why Antarctica is still Antarctica. Congratulations. Speaking of epic television, today in 1951, the first episode of I Love Lucy aired. I mean, it was a monster. There's no doubt. I Love Lucy was a freaking monster, and we don't get modern television sitcoms without that sitcom kind of being one of the first to start it all. And speaking of events with ties back to the Bay Area, today in 1966, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panthers Party in Oakland. That happened today. Excuse me, I got to sneeze. It's still a little lingering head cold from 2 weeks ago. I still sneeze. I still got a little spilkus. What are you going to do? So the Black Panther Party, right, the mission was to protect African Americans from police brutality, which was rampant, arguably still could be. They fed kids, they helped homeless people, and then they went like full on Marxist. Really, their original mission statement got lost in the sauce there. Fred Hampton, though, he kept it real. Fred Hampton, and I, if you have not seen the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, you have to. There's a great movie, and does more to frame, I think, what the Black Panthers were. The best of them, the worst of them, all in one movie. It was a really good movie. And so there you go. Since there's not a lot on TV tonight, maybe I suggest Judas and the Black Messiah. Great movie. And I think it's officially time to go to Club Plus. That's what we're going to do here. If you're listening on the podcast, well, you're not coming with us, which is why I hope you start watching the show on YouTube, because you can come with us to Club Plus. But if you're just listening on the podcast, this is where we say thank you so much. Thanks to Bob Fescoe for joining us. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors. Cannot do it without the sponsors. First of all, my man Ike, best sandwich in the world. Don't take my word for it. Go get one for yourself. Best Guinness in San Francisco gets poured at the Dubliner West Portal, and we'll hopefully see you Sunday of the bye week. What are we talking there? Let me give you an actual date there. So we're talking the 3rd. November 3rd is the bye week for the 49ers. So we will see you noon at the Dubliner, hopefully in West Portal, on November 3rd. And thanks, as always, like I said, to our friends at BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 when you sign up. 150% deposit match up to $2,000. Your first deposit with 125% up to $2,000 on your next 2 deposits. And thank you very much for listening, for tuning in, to Bob Fescoe for joining us, and to all of you who are about to hopefully come with me into the club. But in the meantime, thank you so much. And please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Squeaky disco ball, here we go. Oh, you thought it was over. You thought it wasn't coming back. You got a little worried. Club Plus, does it still exist? Do we still get down? We blow it up on a Tuesday. Otis Bird, first man in line here. Always appropriate. Great to see Otis. There's a rumor Crosby could go to the Lions, but we'll see. I mean, why, if you are the Raiders, wouldn't you be in full fire sale mode right now? Oh, I know why. Because it's a clown show run by an owner who has proven implicitly, I don't really understand what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to Mark Davis. You are your reputation. And since Mark Davis has taken over the Raiders, it has been a disaster. And you can talk about how much money they're worth now, billions, and they got a great stadium in Las Vegas that is full of the opposing fan at all times. Did you see the amount of terrible towels in there? I mean, it was like that game was being attended only by Yinzers. I mean, was that game in Pittsburgh? No, it wasn't. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Jerry Jones paid Dak Prescott. I mean, here's the thing. Dak Prescott is, I think, arguably like one of the least amount of problems that the Dallas Cowboys have. He's okay. He's better than okay. But worth more money than anyone? No, not great. Not great. Hey, Dallas is 3-3, same record as the 49ers. Yeah, sure. I guess you are what your record says you are, but the Dallas Cowboys live nowhere near the universe that the 49ers exist in, and will be dealt with 2 weeks from now. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Albert says, Jerry Jones is so old, he was around to fire Tom Landry, who had coached the Cowboys since 1960. 64 years. Yeah, I think Jerry Jones just had like his 83rd birthday or whatever. It's a disaster. He is a disaster. And he is the most meddlesome owner you're going to find in sports, and it's a disaster. What else we got going on? True Blue, shut it down. It's party time. Yeah, here we are, baby. Welcome back to the club. It's great to have you. Damon, Odyssey is now a private company. Yeah, that's what happens when you get thrown off the New York Stock Exchange for insolvency. What's their stock trading at 12? The 12 cents? 12 cents? What do we got going on? Yeah, look, I'm worried for all sports talk radio stations. I'm worried for all radio stations. All right. What else we got going on? Amari Cooper traded to the Bills. Did that just happen? Bazzi Mian? Well, I guess that's certainly a counter move to the Jets adding Devontae Adams, right? I mean, I don't know if that's actually happened or not, but man, that would be a good move for the Bills. Warriors are playing in Vegas tonight. Is that where their game is? Oh, good for them. Everybody likes going to Vegas. Good. Great place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there. This says, I don't see your name on Twitter. Well, the handle is at Damon Bruce, so it really shouldn't be that hard to find. No hyphens, no underscores, no, just at Damon Bruce is where you can reach me on Twitter, SG. Dumbest text of the day or chat of the day comes from B. Lauren. Sorry. Warriors need to trade everyone. No, that would definitely not be the right way to go about entering a season that begins next Wednesday. Trading everyone right now feels like a really bad idea. Yeah, me too here, Smiley Dan. I'm already looking forward to Warriors fans complaining about every single rotation decision. Yes, that's going to be great. Rockin' new era. Look at this. Club Plus, it's back. It's back. Carl, hey, you know that LeBron will own a team in Las Vegas before John Fisher does. Bank on it. You might be right, Carl. You seriously might be right. I think we're reaching the portion of the show where I told you about the A's leaving 95-7 the game. Gareth is saying, hey, man, I remember the A's back on KSFO 560. Yeah, I do too. Amari Cooper to the Bills. There we go. A second chatter has confirmed it. I mean, when you get a second chatter confirming things, it's as good as Schefter breaking it. Thank you very much. Otis Bird, just like shout out Nick at Night. Yeah, is that where you got your Laverne and Shirley fix? 70s and 80s, man, they had better intro music and songs. Look at it this way, like songs that were for TV shows used to like chart in the Billboard Top 10. Like I think WKRP in Cincinnati was like a top 5 song. I mean, it was crazy. The Last American Hero, right? Believe it or not, I'm walking on it, and I never thought I could feel so free. That was a big hit. You had Al Jarreau doing the moonlighting theme. Some walk by night, some fly by day. So the day could have been the day that Ayuk got traded away. Look, you don't want Ayuk doing anything other than getting back to his old production, catching first downs and touchdowns. Joe G says, Swifty might get tired of Travis Kelce. Dump him when he retires. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the two of them talk about. I don't know how they actually get along, but they seem to genuinely be happy together. Good for them. Good for them. And if it really is all one big ruse for attention, I hate them both. I got no problem with it, man. I got no problem. Chef A, Fred and Ethel, the best. I love Lucy. She was something else, man. Oh, what do we got? The 36th anniversary of the Loma Prieta birthday is in 2 days. Well, I guess we'll get to that in 48 hours then. What else? It sounds like Damon is reading a drug side effect ad. Well, is my mic all right still? I mean, if we wanted to do the, real drug effect, hold on. I got it. I got it for you. Let me make sure I get this right. What if
I push this button right here? Nah, that's too robotic.
How about this? Yeah, man, that's what I was looking for. Drug side effects. Yeah. Oota woota wookie.
Very Jabba the Hutt.
There we go. Got to get that off now. That was so Jabba the Hutty.
This is Jabba the Hutty. Oota woota. Solo in carbonite. Durr.
Good times. Good times. Don't know where this came from at all. Fried chicken with the gravy. Is that because I said KFC earlier? Was that what happened there? AJ Cruz saying Korean fried chicken is the. I don't know where this fried chicken thing came from, but Jollibee's, is that where I see some people talking about Jollibee? I went to Jollibee once. I took one bite of what I had, and it was disgusting. I did not like Jollibee, and I don't do any more. I don't do any more fast food. I stay away from it now. Dale says, I would rather watch 45 minutes of Sam's Chowder House than bet US garbage on every damn YouTube channel. Well, Dale, I hear you, but, sponsors are needed when you're an independent situation. Damon likes to move it. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I do like to move it. What else we got going on? What else we got going on? What is this? Britney got played? What is this? Is this a Taylor Swift Brittany Mahomes situation. Brittany Mahomes is insufferably, painfully awful, pretty much. Damon, when is Soren Petro coming on the podcast? Thomas, I have reached out to Soren. I sent him an email. I haven't heard back. I was looking for him. I love Soren Petro. Guy's great. I had two guys in KC that I went to all the time for my KC information, and Bob Fescoe was one of them, and Soren Petro was the other. If you think about it, Damon, the squeaky disco ball equals Plus Army metronome. Yeah, it really is. You can set your entire day by it. You can set your whole day by the Plus Army metronome. It's my birthday, October 18th, and I'm turning 28 on October 18th. Oh, my God, you're just a little baby. Oh, congratulations. I know you don't want to be like a 28-year-old man in here that you're just a baby, but, oh, you're just a little baby still. You got your whole life in front of you. I'd give anything to go back to 28. Oh, man. That would be an awful lot of fun. Happy early birthday. Let's do something soon. Like I said, reach out. You'll be able to find me. Radio is over, bro. Look, I mean, I'm not the one saying it. The industry is the one that is saying it. Look, it will always still serve a purpose. Radio is important. It's just people don't turn to it like they used to. The options have dwarfed. I mean, I can't remember the last time I listened to a commercial. I really can't. That's why it's harder to sell commercials on radio than ever before. You know, business models change drastically in the case of radio. If I had a wish, it would be that KNBR and 95.7 The Game were incredibly successful for all time. There's a new radio station, sports station, I guess, in the Bay Area. I don't know how that's going or that's doing, but I mean, competition is good for the marketplace. Competition is good for you, the listener. I don't want to see competition squashed. I really don't. You know, I want people that I know to be able to make money. But it is a shame. You know, the industry is changing dramatically. Not just here, but everywhere. Let's see. We move along. Let's see. What else we got? Lots of LOLing. I think you enjoyed the different voice. Swift is way out of his league. Nick Tarantino, let me tell you, I didn't even think Taylor Swift had the kind of, you know, milkshake that Travis Kelce was in. Travis Kelce, before Taylor Swift, basically dated black women who were shaped like figure eights. He liked sisters. He liked booty. Taylor Swift has a butt that is closer to looking like an ironing board than it is anything else. What does she have? She might not have the curve, but she has billions of dollars. I'm not saying he's just in it for the money, but that it was, you know, he certainly had a type. And then has fallen deeply in love with that woman who is not quite what seemed to be his type. You got a freaking dart in your neck, man. Yeah, that's what that did sound like. More like that than Jabba. Very Cheech and Chong. That was a Chi-Chi and Chongy. I love you, Damon. I don't know, Damon. I don't know what you said about me earlier, but the fact you had to put a though means there was clearly, you know, an inflection point in our love. But I'm happy you're back. I'm officially ready for Little Warriors basketball. I'm ready for it to come back. I'm going to say, I don't know what the Warriors are going to do this year, but they will be interesting. They will absolutely be interesting. You know, but it's, you know, we haven't even tipped off the season, and I'm not going to start complaining about Moses Moody's minutes. Not yet, anyways. Probably won't take very long before we get there. Hey, thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you have liked, you have subscribed, you have hit notify. Hopefully you plan on hanging out with us for the entire 49ers Chiefs game. We're going to be doing a little watch party over here. Nick Wright will be joining me tomorrow, and we'll be putting a video out a little bit later in the day. We're going to have a wake up with yours truly and Larry. It's Chiefs week after all. We will have our show and then a little something for you a little bit later on in the day. So thank you very much for being a part of this. Means a lot. Thank you. Please do remember. Oh, no, we already told you that sports don't build character. They reveal it. This is where I tell you that you don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.